Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Just seeing everybody join. We'll just wait for everyone's cameras to fire up and microphones and all that. So thank you for joining us for our latest Eden Project North community conversation. This one is going to be about young people in Morecambe Bay and the surrounding area and how our plans for Eden Project North will affect them. So we have a great panel. We have David Harland, Eden Project International Chief Executive, as ever. He's going to be with us, and some great guest speakers as well to introduce you. Dave will give you a little bit more about that in a sec. After our panel have done their little bit of speaking, we'll do a Q&A, and we'll open the floor to anyone who wants to ask a question. To do that, if you could raise your hand within the Zoom platform, that would be great. It's in the participants menu. If you raise your hand physically, we won't necessarily see you because there's so many people on the call that you may be, for the people looking out for hands raised, you may be at the back of the carousel. So please do choose the raise hand option as soon as you want to ask a question, and we'll go to people in the order in which their hands were raised. Just a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording, and we will publish the recording shortly after the event. We have one of these happening every month, and there's a schedule on edenproject.com/north. Please have a look at that and register for future events. Next one is March 19th, and it's about the environment. So with all of that business done, we still have people joining, but I think we'll get moving. I'm going to hand over to David Harland, Chief Executive of Eden Project International. Dave, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ben, and hello, everyone. Greetings from what is the Wild West today. Crikey, it's windy out there, so and wet and horrible. So I hope it's a bit nicer wherever you are. And what's so nice about these sessions actually now is that I'm starting to recognise people. I can see Alex and Mary are doing their double act again. So oh, there we go. We even get a wave and various other people, which is so nice. So thank you for continuing to join. And we really are excited about this session. We've got Jenny and Yak joining us as well to talk more on the theme. I mean, just to give you a very quick update though, before I hand over to Jenny on the latest on the project, is that as with last month, we are well into the process of establishing how we submit our planning application and some design work that's going on in the background. There's a group of, gosh, it must be 20 to 30 different people now, from architects to engineers to sustainability consultants and so on, sort of working through a lot of that detail, and we are really excited about some of that work and looking forward to sharing that in more detail in the coming months. I think though we had a little taster of a couple of images that the team had just been playing with, which was a bit of luck. Tom or Ben will share the screen, that you can see some things that just to give you a little taste. Nobody outside of the Eden group has seen these before. Once they come onto screen, Tom is looking at the screen. I can see inquiringly, which means that it's obviously not working, the technology, for a minute, but I'll keep talking. So on our plan at the moment is, there we go. Look at this, by the miracle of technology. So these are just a couple of artistic impressions of what it could start to look like in one of those mussel shells. You should realize they're artistic in their impressionism rather than anything else, but and we start to think about the visitor experience, particularly because in order to design a building, you've got to understand actually what is going to be happening inside it. And so here what you're seeing is the start of what we're calling the rhythm machine. And for those of you that joined last time, you'll have heard Polly, Blair and Sam talking about this, and the idea that you can, as a visitor, perhaps experience different seasons, different times of the day, and what is going on within those moments. And this is one of the night scenes. We particularly like this image that's drawn by Gareth in our team. And we'll be releasing more of those as we go on. And I think the final one is a daylit image here. and hopefully you're just getting a little sense. As I say, we haven't officially released them until now, so you are the first people to see them, and we'll continue to use this forum just to suggest what people might experience there. Thanks for sharing those, Tom, and we're going to hear from Tom later on as well. So Tom joined us as an apprentice, and I think is a really good example of actually what we try to do at Eden, which is to bring people along, and is now very much an essential part of our team. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to hand to our first speaker, and which is the wonderful Jenny, who's in the right corner of my screen, and Jenny's biog is, well, it's short and sweet here on my screen. It says founder of the charity Escape to Make, and Jenny's background is in design, technology and entertainment. But I can tell you, having had the joy of meeting Jenny and getting involved in some of her work, she's a bit of a firecracker, so I think you'll enjoy the next few minutes and her enthusiasm for this particular subject. And what we're very much hoping is that, along with many others, that we will form a partnership and with Escape to Make at the right moment within this design phase, and continue to work together. So we thought it'd be great to hear from Jenny today. Jenny, the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you, Dave. And first of all, I just want to say that I think it is beyond brilliant that the Eden Project are putting young people so high on their agenda. And I think it's very, very wise. Because, yeah, there's a climate change emergency, but there's also a social emergency going on, and the two are interconnected. Young people are the guardians of our future, but as we all know, an increasing number of them are struggling with their well-being and their mental health. And what's going to happen if they fall over? Who's going to rescue the planet then? And for too long, children and young people just haven't been valued enough, and they've been left on the periphery of society. 761 youth centres have closed in the last 8 years, and there are too many young people that just feel disenfranchised by society and community and a very out-of-date education system. So the arrival of the Eden building is going to bring, I think, real hope and pride to young people. And I think that building isn't just going to bring tourists and boost the economy and create jobs for some of those young people when they're older and their families, but it's going to act as a sort of village hall, like a venue for concerts and exhibitions, a great facility for local schools. And I'm sure that many of the great organisations like Stanley's and Lancashire Youth Challenge and More Music, who already do amazing work with young people, and Deco Publique, who make fabulous festivals in Morecambe, and the Good Things Collective, and so many more, will all be really thrilled with this new facility on their doorstep and all the opportunities it's going to offer. But Eden is so much more than just a building. It's not just bringing the 5 mussel shells, it's bringing with it an ethos and a kind of a mindset shift, like an enlightened mindset. They have incredible vision and values, and they're passionate about making change environmentally, economically, and socially. And I think that passion is going to radiate out of that building and affect us all. And it's already starting to happen. And all the themes that they want in the building are around wonder and well-being and what was the other one? Wonder, well-being, and awe. So that's going to come out and affect us all. And they've already started. So they've started, for those of you that don't know about the Morecambe curriculum, they've already started working on a new curriculum that can, and Yak will be talking in a minute, we're both on the steering group for that. And that curriculum is for young people that are aged 0 to 25. But that is a separate conversation. That's for Wednesday night, if anybody wants to go to that one. But in a nutshell, about the Morecambe Bay curriculum, Eden can see how young people are losing their connection with nature. They're losing their connection with each other. They're on social media and they don't have enough alternatives. So they're devising the Morecambe Bay curriculum to sit alongside the existing curriculum to give young people the skills needed for the future. And they are the skills that computers and robots haven't got, many of them. So it's shifting that balance from mostly head-based learning things to, memorizing things to regurgitate in an exam, to more sort of heart and hand-based learning, things that computers and robots don't have. So that will then increase, they're about increasing emotional intelligence and empathy levels and being more creative. But it's also, of course, a lot about getting outside more and growing things and looking at the stars and being curious and in awe of where we live, and learning how to fix things, because we need to live in a more circular economy. It's not sustainable to live in the way we're living. So the Morecambe Bay curriculum is going to sort of help with all of that. And we're so lucky to have this happening on our doorstep. And this is exactly what we believe at Escape to Make. So just to tell you a little bit about the charity that I'm the founder of, like Eden, Escape to Make are also an educational charity. And we're in talks about working closely together for how we can offer all 11s to 18s a great deal more to do outside of school and fill those educational gaps, but also fill that gap in all-inclusive creative youth provision, because there's not enough to do outside of school. So you might wonder why Escape to Make are focusing on 11s to 18s. Well, that's because we kind of think when you're younger, you're more likely to engage with things, and there are more things going on for that age group. But when you're 11 to 18, you don't really want to hang out with younger children, but then you're not old enough to go to the pub. So they're kind of like this forgotten generation, and yet they're so important. They're being left behind. And Nesta have described them as this age group as the lost generation, and that was before COVID. And a recent survey report that the Prince's Trust have brought out has said that 1 in 4 young people feel like they have no hope for the future. And I imagine that's probably even worse in Morecambe and Lancaster, because deprivation levels are so high here. 12,500 11 to 18-year-olds live in the area. 1,900 of them aren't in any education at all. They need help with their life chances and their job prospects. So I believe, Escape to Make believe, and Eden believe that it's time to treat young people like gold. It's time to give them meaningful projects, give them a deep sense of purpose and belonging, and really encourage connections so they can meet each other in real life, not just on social media, and so they can connect with the environment. And that's really the vision that Eden and Escape to Make both share. So just to let you know a little bit more about Escape to Make, our model helps young people to escape from whatever it is they're struggling with. So that might be boredom, that might be loneliness, it might be pressure from school, pressure from home, social media, living in poverty, bullying, whatever it is. And it helps them to make things and make friends and make a real meaningful difference in the community. And we want to help them discover their creative passions, so then they can be in their element and have improved well-being. It's often the arts that helps people with their well-being. And everything that we do creates real social and environmental impact. And at the end of the day, truly empowers young people to be change makers, because we all need more Greta Thunbergs in the world. Well, they don't all have to be quite as brilliant as Greta, but, you know, they need to be change makers. That's what the future of the planet's going to need. And they need more opportunities. They need a way to have more things to put on their CV, more things to talk about in job interviews. which is where our programs are going to help with that. And also we're thinking about running courses in microfinance potentially to encourage that entrepreneurial skills and thinking, help them set up their own little businesses. And what have we done so far? So we've run 2 pilots. We're very new. We've carried out 2 pilots, and the evaluation so far is ridiculously brilliant. And you can have a look at some of it, which is on our website, escapetomake.org. And there it's basically shown us that there is huge demand for more all-inclusive youth provision. And secondly, we're already creating profound impact, which we never imagined to be doing, even at this testing developmental stage. We've got an impact on our website. Feel free to watch that. The NHS have said this could well help with the prevention of mental health problems in young people. The police have said this could help with the prevention of antisocial behaviour problems. You know, the support from Lancaster University, University of Cumbria, from Lancaster Morecambe College, so many people has been amazing. But of course, none of this is going to happen overnight. We are a new charity and we've got a lot to do. So whilst Eden are building their building, we're going to continue to develop our scalable model for groundbreaking youth provision. And we're going to produce a huge variety of and quantity of quality, free, all-inclusive youth provision that eventually will happen around the year. We're going to be working later this year, with producers from the Repair Shop, from the telly, experts from Eden Project, and also from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We're going to be working with local artists, local cultural organisations and businesses and national businesses, and of course, and most importantly, children and young people. We're very youth-led. They're at the centre of what we're doing. I think we've got our youngest trustee on this call, Toby. He's just had his 20th birthday. Hey, Toby. We're going to be devising a huge array of formats for creative programmes. And that might be anything from natural cosmetic making to ice cream making, or it might be wildlife film clubs to engineering and inventing. But everything we do will be designed so it's intergenerational, or it will be helping the sick or the vulnerable or the environment. And it will be all building emotional intelligence, and it will be achieving the UN's 17 SDGs. And all those programs feed into mini green festivals or cabarets or heritage projects and so on. So by the time Eden opens its doors in 2024, we will try our very hardest between now and then to be ready to offer a huge selection of free all-inclusive programs to about 1,000 young people. And as well as on top of that, there'll be multiple ongoing project groups. So there will be things like yoga and filmmaking that will happen all year round. And then there'll be things that we're starting to devise and talk about devising right now around natural skills. So we're talking to the National Trust about that, tree planting, permaculture, conservation, and less plastics campaigns. So all sorts, because we want to give young people somewhere to put this increasing climate anxiety, and we want to create opportunities for them so they can really make a tangible difference to the problems of climate change and the social problems. And basically, the more funding we find, the more we can do, and the more work we can generate for the creative freelancers, for the local businesses, for the national businesses, for the 19s to 25s, and for all the other support staff. So it's going to be generating work and jobs as well. And we also hope and need to have, we wish we didn't need to have it, but we need to have a building of our own, because 12,500 teenagers can't all fit in McDonald's, and we need facilities to run our own programs. Also, young people need a safe place to go so they can go and truly escape and relax and socialize, and a place that is designed for introverts as well as extroverts, because quite often in the past, the youth centres have been more for extroverts. Ours, I don't even want to call it a youth centre, it would be nothing like that. And Harrison Pitt Architects in Lancaster have very kindly volunteered a year's time to us and have been working with 10 young people from Escape to Make to start coming up with ideas for a building. And now we're in very, very early talks with other architects and circular economy and retail and social franchise experts about devising a blueprint and a sustainable funding model for the building. And of course, that building will play a little part in the jigsaw puzzle of the regeneration of the high street too. So our dream would be to have this extraordinary sustainable building with all kinds of rooms, from messy, loud rooms to have paint raves in, and quiet, Eden-esque, offline oasis type rooms full of plants and books. And maybe there'll be a kinetic gym that powers smoothie making machines in the cafe, rooms to learn how to repair things and upcycle things. Maybe we'll have the young people want allotments on the roof with telescopes and poetry pods, because we believe that the world needs more fixers and poets and stargazers and gardeners. And and despite the fact, I'm nearly done, and despite the fact that we're still only in development, we've got growing interest and demand from the Escape to Make brand, model and methodology from far and wide. We're one of the 3 chosen charities of the new Lancaster University Health Innovation Campus, who may well, in years to come, become a training centre, yet more jobs. But we will not run before we can walk, because first we need to get it right here, and we're really mindful of that. Lancaster and Morecambe is our utmost priority, and we need to keep our feet on the ground and build this carefully and rigorously. But none of this can happen without funding. So we live in hope that we will get what we need to develop and deliver our vision, so young people have somewhere safe to go and lots of meaningful projects so they can feel valued, valuable and like empowered citizens with a deep sense of belonging, 10 foot high and full of purpose, much more connected to each other, to where they live and to the environment. And finally, talking of meaningful projects, Escape to Make don't have very much money at the moment, but we did kickstart a campaign in November with just £4.99. And it was the best £4.99 we have ever spent. We went to some of our cohort of young people and we asked them to help the Eden Project get the £70 million they need to come to Morecambe. Within 3 weeks, those teenagers had come up with a name, Northwest Youth for Eden. They'd built a website and a campaign strategy. They'd made a film that went down to Rishi Sunak's mobile phone. The campaign went in the Sunday Times. It went on Smooth Radio 3 times. And this morning at 11:20, it was on Radio Lancashire. They've now got over 60 young people who've joined in with the campaign. And I just think this all goes to show that young people are capable of so much when we just give them opportunities and ownership and freedom and trust. We just need to pull together and collaborate to deliver those opportunities. And I think now Tom, behind the scenes, one of the Wizard of Oz's from Eden, is going to magically play the film so you can hear in their words why young people want Eden to come to Morecambe so much.
Thank you, Jenny.
I was born in Morecambe in 1972. Morecambe was in decline in those years, but there was always talk of it'll turn the corner soon and something will come along, it'll get back to its glory day.
Morecambe is quite small and not very well known.
You know, places like Morecambe and Morecambe have been, in my opinion, left behind and forgotten for many years now.
And we're all aware of how climate change is starting to affect all of our lives on the daily.
There's very little for people to do, particularly families and young people, but also there's very little modern things for us to be proud of. The Eden Project could change that.
I absolutely love the idea of there being a version of the Eden Project in Morecambe.
There doesn't seem to be much like it in the north.
It will attract thousands of tourists, therefore bringing in lots of money, helping the economy as a whole.
And it's also a great place for schools and families to visit, as it's very educational.
The Eden Project could also act as a centre for environment, education and action, which is an issue that young people in particular are very passionate about. If you pair up the facilities and the drive that young people would feel, this could be used as a springboard to create really great change, both locally and further afield.
It would bring back so much for the community, especially after the year that we've all had.
As the youth are going to be our future, and making sure that we build the right foundations within them sets up a really good way to ensure our future is good.
And would also give people opportunities that they may not have otherwise had.
And it's also something that people from the whole country can enjoy and come to Morecambe, and through that, you know, you get other businesses thriving.
It could act as a hub, a focal point for Morecambe and the community, but not just as a visitor attraction, but also as a place to hold concerts, a place to hold art exhibitions. And it would be run by people with over 2 decades running the Cornwall site, which means Morecambe would have the very best access to all the learning that's been had there.
I don't think that you can overestimate the benefits of it at all. I just think it would be such an amazing thing.
So thanks for sharing that, Tom. And gosh, thank you, Jenny. I see that Sue has just put in the link if you want to follow Northwest Youth for Eden, nyfe.co.uk. I have to say I get shivers every time that I watch that video, and I know I speak for the Eden team in that, because we had nothing to do with that. It was put together by the guys that you saw, and it really reminds us why we're doing this. And I think, Jenny, gosh, I said firecracker, but quite crikey, you delivered there. And just seeing the comments that have happened there, you know, the next Greta needs to come from Morecambe. The fact that, you know, actually we're not having to retrofit this. Actually, we're putting together here a 25-year plan for the Morecambe Bay curriculum. I thought at one moment you talked about cosmetic ice cream making, but I think I mixed up ice cream making and cosmetic making. But anyway, that sounded fun to me. But the real thing, and it was said on the video here, is this is about creating opportunity, and that I'm hoping that the focus of this session and how we can, you know, if you like, act as an umbrella to do all of that. Now, turning to our next speaker, and the joy is that Yak Patel has got his camera working. So at 1:01 it wasn't working, but I think it now is. And Yak, for those that don't know, is a community youth worker. I think 20 years or more experience of that, and I think Yak, you're you know, man and boy in the Lancaster area as well. And in his day job, he's the Chief Officer of Lancaster District CVS. He's responsible for a number of different district forums, chairing the Voluntary Community Faith Sector Group, vice-chairing the Children's Young People Multi-Agency Forum. I got a list here, it goes on forever. I'm surprised he actually has time to do anything else, let alone come here, Yak. So we're very, very grateful to you, and love to hear your perspective. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Jenny. What a great start that was, and I'll try not to lower the tone of that, really. So, and there will be some crossover between what I'm going to say and what Jenny just said. But yeah, so thanks for the introduction, David. Yeah, my name is Yak Patel. I am the Chief Officer for Lancaster District CVS. We're the umbrella organisation that supports over 500 charities and voluntary groups, and we actually support the people that support their communities. I'm also one of the co-founders and trustees for Lancashire Youth Challenge, which is an amazing youth charity in the area. And I'm also involved in a lot of community groups right across Lancaster District who are working as we speak to support young people and communities, especially during this very difficult time. And one of my other key functions is really about supporting youth-focused organisations, bringing people together that work with young people and support families and people across this amazing district. And you're quite right, David, I've lived here and worked here all my life and worked with young people for over 25 years. So how did I become involved in the Eden Project? I thought better start off with that. So about 3 years ago, I had the privilege of meeting Cy Bellamy, and then he was the head of the Eden Project International, and I met Emma Critchley, International Project Manager for Eden, following his presentation at the Love Lancaster event, where he described all the amazing benefits of Eden International. And one of the things he said that really stuck with me was not necessarily about building the Eden project in Morecambe, in one of the most beautiful towns in the world, in my opinion, but he said that if we could actually build Eden, if we could actually turn the lens around and flip that lens around, and rather seeing people as consumers of something, they'd be a participant, where people can be joyful, they can be creative, have fun, and say, I love this, and be curious about everything they see before them. And through doing this, as children, young adults, they can begin to ask themselves a question about the world around them, and ask themselves what they see, what they see themselves in life. If the community can be transformed into something as beautiful as overlooking the bay, we can really start to reimagine the future with our young people and with our communities. Eden North, for me, has a fantastic opportunity to be part of an incredible ecosystem of organisations, charities, voluntary and community groups that is already mobilising the skills and talents of young people every day. But continuing to meet their needs will be a big challenge, but it's also a big opportunity because they hold our shared future in their hands. Every day we hear and read about young people sharing their ideas and passions, whether that's a fight for change, social change, political change, and change in their communities. And imagine what they'll create if we provide the mechanisms. We could see breakthrough in new technologies, we could see new ways of communicating, we could see sustainable projects, new ways of tackling health inequalities that exist in our communities. Thousands of young women and young men are standing at the door of adulthood. But are they ready? My favourite part of my job provides me a chance to talk, to meet with, to work with, and hear from young people all around this district, whether that's directly or through youth workers and community colleagues. And between them, they tell me about their hopes and dreams, and they have amazing hopes and dreams for what they want to accomplish in their lives. But what they're also telling me is that they have fears. They feel that they're facing a series of barriers in education, barriers to employment, a crisis of climate emergency. The reality for many young people, particularly in Morecambe, there isn't a social and cultural diversity where there are great things to do or where there are high-skilled jobs. And for many young people, sadly, they are involved in gangs, they are involved in taking drugs. The only way for some young people to actually make a living is to commit crime and to deal and to sell drugs. The level of mental health of young people really is increasing, certainly over the last year. The level of education in our young people and their families, particularly reading and writing. And believe it or not, for many of our young people, they've never been to Morecambe Beach or experienced the cultural diversity out of Lancaster and Morecambe. For so many, health inequalities where poverty, food insecurity, and where parents who are having to work 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet affects their lives each and every day. And if you look at these barriers, you will realise that these are urgent and they need to be addressed now, because that's what they're telling us. Young people are very worried. They're worried that they might not get the education they need. There are so many young people out of school, and those that are in school feel that they may not be getting the right skills. Many young people are not meeting the grades in maths or English, and for many young people and for their parents, they're unable to read and write. And what about those who are in secondary school? And many of them are frustrated, or they're worried about they're not getting the skills that they can use to make a livelihood. And sometimes their parents struggle to support them through education. Young people are also telling me that they're worried about employment, that they won't be able to find a job. And again, they're right. Every year, thousands of young people reaching working age. Some will go on to further education, but many will enter the workforce. And our district will need to create the thousands of jobs we need every year. And the competition is fierce for the jobs that are available. So imagine being a young person today, needing a job to seek in a livelihood, ready to build a future where opportunities are hard to find. We are finding ourselves in a world that is changing so fast for work. For many young people, they actually do want to leave the area to big cities. They want to learn future skills for future work. They want to learn digital technology and green technologies. They want to have the chance to learn business and entrepreneurship so that they can create a business of their own. They want to be nurses and mental health practitioners, doctors, and they want to have the skills that they need for the future. They also want to learn new trades like construction and engineering. And young people are also telling me that they're worried about violence at home, online in schools, in their communities. We know that a young person can have, hundreds of friends on social media. Jen said this before, but actually when they need to find a friendly face, someone who they can talk to as a friend, normally they can't find one. They face bullying, harassment and more. And for young women, they're telling me that they're especially worried about their futures. And sadly, they're facing prejudice and discrimination. 1 out of every 3 women will face adverse childhood experiences in their lifetime. These crises may not be a reality in your life or in your neighbourhood. And perhaps you've had the opportunity for a good education or skills and for getting a job. And maybe you've never faced violence or prejudice or discrimination. But there are so many young people who are not so lucky. And they are telling us about their anxieties for the future. And that is why my hope and aspiration for young people is with the development of Eden North and Morecambe Bay curriculum. It's an opportunity to build back better. It's an opportunity to level up our communities. And my hope is straightforward. I want every young person in school, learning, training or employment. Eden North, the Morecambe Bay curriculum, along with each and every one of us, has the opportunity to provide a platform for solutions and new ideas. Ideas that will give young people inspiration for their futures. From local businesses, local and national government, to local voluntary and community sector, through to further education and higher education partners and our communities and innovators for help. This would be an open platform where people can come and share their ideas and solutions about what works, what does not work, and importantly, what might work. So if we can take these ideas and add a little bit of support or funding, and then some good partners, I believe we can inspire thousands of young people. We have the opportunity to co-design and co-create with young people and allow young people to be at the forefront of discussions, steering us all the way. Jen and I have mentioned the Morecambe Bay curriculum, and I won't go into huge detail myself. I simply won't do it justice. But when I met with Professor Rob Barrett, who was head of Eden Learning, and Wes Johnson, the principal for Lancaster Morecambe College, I was really blown away with their vision and energy for young people. In Cornwall, for example, young people are at the heart of the food growing programme, which feeds into the cafe and is basically the heartbeat of Eden. Young people are learning skills for life. He also described how young people who don't have the right credentials could have the opportunity to learn, develop their skills in engineering, biodiversity, land-based skills in places like China, connecting education with skills. I mean, how amazing would that be for a young person to be lifted from a disadvantaged position and placed somewhere in the world via the Eden Project? And the opportunity for young women to study in science, technology, engineering and maths. The Morecambe Bay curriculum for me has the opportunity to inspire young people for a collective partnership of early years, primary, secondary education, further education and higher education partners, and the voluntary community faith and social enterprise sector. But these ideas and programmes are just a start. We will need a strategy to meet the hard to reach. Whether they're young carers, young people leaving the care system, those involved in gangs, county lines, those living in poverty, or young people who need direction in their lives. My hope is that we take ideas and find ways to scale them up and reach more young people in every community across this district. My hope is that the Eden Project, Eden provides young people with apprenticeships, volunteering, job shadowing, mentoring, work-study programmes, places where young people can learn and earn, where young people can work side by industry professionals to learn firsthand, where their skills can be harnessed to improve their communities. I really hope we can do this together, and to also do this by reaching out into communities in partnership. Young people want to help other young people. They want more space. They want more voice, so that they can gather to help each other. They also with them. Young people are firmly a part of our communities, but they're 100% of our future. Eden, along with all of us, are charging the air that we breathe. And for young people, they're calling out for the opportunity to build a better world. Thank you.
Wow. Brilliant, Yak. So just superb. With video as well, so which was great. But I mean, gosh, you've shone a light on so many different areas there about what's happening, and so many different things. Getting people working, training, learning. A few government phrases there: leveling up, building back better, all this sort of stuff. But it's absolutely right. This is about creating opportunity, and I love your idea of more voice as well. But that I have to say, I think we're going to need to do another of these sessions. I think we need to give both of you just an hour to talk, and just seeing the chatter going on here. People are really being very inspired by this. The very final thing that we were just going to do, and then we will open up for questions, was that young Tom Connolly there is a member of our team down here in Cornwall, and he obviously thought that he tells me it's because he's had a new haircut, but he thought this is about youth, so he's put a hat on today there, but he's also been working the wheels of the system. But he joined us. So Tom comes from Camelford, which is a town about 20 miles, I guess, from Eden, maybe 15. And joined as one of our apprentices around a year or so ago. And nothing gives us more pleasure, to be honest, than seeing anybody, but particularly the apprentices sort of coming through and starting to take those first strides into the workplace. So we thought we'd just ask Tom to say a few words about his Eden experience as well, just to bring that to life. So Tom, the floor is yours, my friend.
Hello, everyone. I hope that first of all you can hear me. That's a good start, and I hope that you're also all well. I just wanted to thank firstly Jenny and Yak for their pieces talking about the project, as well as the Eden team and how we support them, because talking about young people in the area is something that resonates very closely with me, having grown up, been born, and now working in Cornwall. And it's something that's very close to my heart, because very similarly to the Northwest, there's little job opportunities for young people in Cornwall, as Jenny's mentioned previously, as well as in the Northwest. And university life just never appealed to me. It was something that never appealed to me. And I just never looked at it really. It wasn't set for me really. And having since started my apprenticeship at the Eden Project, it's truly an amazing place to work. It's fantastic to be involved with this brilliant team on this amazing project. And I cannot thank Dave and the team enough for the opportunity to do it. And although it's helped me professionally and it's helped me develop my skills, my knowledge and understanding of the team, as well as my job role and what I can do to support everybody, but I think it's also improved me as a person, and it's made me have more determination, more drive to improve other things in my life as well, personally. And I've taken on new hobbies. I've done a whole host of things, both in and out of my job role, that I probably wouldn't have done beforehand, having not been at the Eden Project. And if I can help any young person in this call, as well as anyone in this call, to be involved with the project and to show a benefit that the project will bring to them, then that's all that would bring great joy to me to show that.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. And it has been a complete pleasure, working with Tom. It is no bind whatsoever to the team. He has about 22 mothers in the office, by the way. So as you can all imagine. So, but Ben, I think that's the end of that section. But hopefully we're going to hear from a few people around the audience. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, everyone. Really, just incredible to hear from everyone there. Some fantastic speaking. I hope you guys all are happy that we let that section run on a little bit. There was just so much good stuff in there. We all felt it was worth just giving everyone the time they needed to speak. So thank you to everyone. We have about 15 minutes left, and we'd love to get through as many questions as we possibly can. So if you would like to ask us a question, please do put your hand up in the participants panel in your Zoom window. If you stick your hand up there, we will call on you and we'll be able to unmute you. So, Tom, if you could, we have a hand up from Callum there. If you could just let Callum speak.
Hello.
Hi, Callum.
Hi, guys. Well, first of all, yeah, thank you so much for the talk. It's been really inspiring to hear so much kind of hope for the area. I think, especially in this time, for anyone, whether they're young or old, a bit of hope goes a long way. So thank you very much for that. My question mainly, I think, would be revolving around mental health. I think a lot of people, again, young or old, are experiencing mental health problems potentially for the first time. And Jenny mentioning a dedicated building that caters to so many different kinds of learning and also personalities, I think is a really exciting prospect. So I guess my question for Eden would be, how are you going to integrate both education and mental health in a way that touches on nature, but also has a professional backing from, say, a dedicated counselling team or connections with the NHS, so that people who require professional help have those resources available to them, as well as providing that community hub for people both locally and kind of in the kind of outer Lancaster area as well?
Great question, Callum. Thank you. I wondered, I'm going to do something that wasn't planned, but I've seen my colleague Gabby is actually online, who I know has been looking at this. But Yak and Jenny, I wondered if you wanted to just come in first. I know the question was directed at us, but anything that you wanted to add there? You can come off mute if you do, but there we go.
Well, just to say that we know at Escape to Make that will be something that we'll need to look at. So we know where to signpost people and how to support people that that we think need more support and help. There are some great organisations already locally, like ACE, who do great things to support young people with their mental health. Of course, there's CAMS at the NHS, but many people might know that the waiting list is very long and they're very stretched. But of course, we've also got this new health innovation campus that has opened at the university. So that's possibly something they could get involved with. Do you know any more, Yak? Have you got anything to add?
No, I think it's a really good question, and I think it's been evolving rapidly. So we have social prescribers in the NHS now. We have link workers and community connectors. I think the Eden, if you link this all back to the Eden, the Eden has an opportunity really to support that ecosystem, as I said in my speech. And we've got community-based organisations in the four corners of this district who are doing lots of preventative work and a lot of supportive work as well. Because you do need trust and relationships with young people, with some young people. And that's why we have a fantastic array of youth workers and community workers that every day are supporting families and young people in the heart of communities. So I think you're right, that kind of green prescription actually, hooking young people and adults to environment has huge benefits, and even to the arts and cultural and music and so much more. So I think we are very lucky in Lancaster district that this structure is evolving and is growing, and relationships are being built. So
thanks, Jack. And I think what you're indicating is that this requires a holistic approach, doesn't it? So we've got to have all of these different facets, and we certainly want to play our role, and social prescribing and so on is something that we know in Cornwall. Gabby, I think you can unmute yourself with a bit of luck, and Gabby's part of our team, been with Eden for quite a while, for about as well, and is it's called our science engagement manager, but actually so much more than that. Do you want to just talk to this a little bit?
Yeah, it's a really good point, Callum. And we've got all sorts of community and charitable programmes that we run, like Green Social Prescribing down in Cornwall. And all of those require funding to be able to run. But I think what we'd never do is helicopter into a place and try and retrofit a scheme into a place. There's so much amazing stuff that already happens in the area. And it's part of my job to sort of get to know that ecosystem that Yak's talking about. We did pitch this week to the People's Postcode Lottery, along with the NHS Trust for Cumbria and Lancashire for the Morecambe Bay area, and with the Wildlife Trust of Cumbria and Lancashire for £1 million to try and run exactly programmes like this. So it would be expanding the scheme that the Wildlife Trust already runs called My Place, but bringing it into the blue-green coastal environment for the first time and doing it at community level. So really, really excited and passionate about that. But that's sort of one of the ways that we'd like to basically support and elevate the brilliant work that's already going on and bring in the latest science and research with our partners to make it as effective for Morecambe Bay as possible.
Thanks,
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think the main thing is I'm thinking, of course, coming out of the COVID crisis, whenever that is, there is this increased demand for mental health. And as we know, the NHS is forever stretched with it. And I think Eden has that opportunity to, like you say, support and elevate the surrounding area and what they already offer. And I think it's very wise to say, we're not here to kind of take over and bring in our own thoughts and disregard everything else, but to take what Morecambe and Lancaster and the surrounding area already has and kind of help support that, whether it be financially or in terms of what it offers as a building. I think it just has that wonderful opportunity. And as a young person, it really excites me that we have that opportunity, and I just don't want that to be stifled. I think that would be a great shame if something like mental health and integrating mental health into nature and education was stifled. But I mean, from what I'm hearing, it's kind of at the forefront, which is really exciting. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Callum. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Callum, and thank you, everyone. We have a few questions lining up, so let's see if we can get through everything before the end of the session. Janet, I think you were next. Janet Nuttall, if you could just wait till you're unmuted. What's your question, please?
I just wanted to use this opportunity to ask for advice, if that's okay. I was really interested in what Yak and Jenny said, but Yak particularly about young people being disenfranchised and some of them hadn't visited the beach or taken part in any of the art opportunities that are available. We're just starting on a community programme. We have the building and we have the finances. My question is, how do I reach those people that aren't necessarily in extreme crisis, but we've all been hit, we're all suffering, and it's how do you capture those people that need you most? Because that seems to be my stumbling block at the moment.
Really good question. And I think we all have them sort of same struggles in terms of connecting with hard to reach young people, or young people sometimes generally. But a couple of options. We can certainly hook you up with community leaders. And I think community leaders is the way forward. In each community across the district, there are amazing people that are working with communities day in, day out, working with young people particularly. They've got that trust, they've got that relationship. So I would definitely start off by talking with them first, and I can help you achieve that. So no problem. And there's a couple of amazing forums and networks as well that bring together lots of different professionals and people that have wonderful ideas and that are working on probably very similar projects with very similar young people. So it'd be worth sort of coming along to some of those network events. If you drop me an email, I can add you to the mailing list on that. But certainly if you want to be able to connect with young people directly, I'd go through community leaders.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Yak, as well. Next up, Amberly Hartwell. Amberly, if you could just wait till your microphone is unmuted. There you go. What's your question, please?
Hi, yeah, very inspired by what you're doing. It's really just to address what you're saying about how to connect with young people. One of the things that we found, I was living in New Zealand, we did a lot with young people there. And basically, the thing to always remember is that young people don't want to be seen as a problem to be fixed. And one of the the considerations is that they want to help build the rescue boat. They don't just want to be given the rescue boat. So even to talk about how best to approach these mental health issues, because I think you're already systemically doing that by providing exactly what they're asking for. But that involvement, not to have, only the specialists deciding what's right for them is so important. That's just our own discovery that we found from talking with young people. So I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Co-creation, Amberly, at all levels is exactly right. And Jenny, did you want to just come in on that one?
Yeah, just absolutely, Amberly, completely with you on that. I think actually young people need to help us. They've got so many ideas. They're so powerful. We're really passionate about being youth-led. 19 young people came on our away day and helped to write our business plan. 23 young people produced and presented the most amazing launch at our local theatre when the charity launched. We're setting up a youth board, and very much that we need to listen to them. We need to flip everything around and put them in charge more and give them a lot more power and opportunities.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Dave, and thank you to Amberly as well for your question. If you would like to ask a question, we have a few more minutes left. Please do put your hand up in the participants panel in Zoom. Diane Salmons, you've been waiting for a little while. Thank you for your patience. If you could just, there you go. What's your question?
Hi. Just to say, I'm so excited about Eden, the thought of Eden coming up here. I've been a member of Eden South since before it was built, so I'm just hugely excited. I support a group of young people called the Eco Gang from Wharton, and they do lots of environmental projects. They range from about 6 years old to about 16, including a local wildflower meadow in their school grounds. So I just wondered, how can Eden begin to think of collecting the information about young people who are already active in the area and harness that? And then maybe how can we, I know they're really keen and excited about being part of Eden's development up north. So how can we begin, how can I signpost them into a way in at this stage? Thank you.
Great question, Diane. Thank you. I am looking across my screen and I'm thinking a combination of Gabby and Emma, and I'm not sure who wants to pick that up first in terms of that question. It's something, by the way, Diane, that we're wrestling with all the time. I'm not sure if we've had contact with the Eco Gang, or not yet.
No, I don't think so. On a very simple, practical level, send stuff to me, because we are currently stakeholder mapping and just planning how we're going to take these conversations going forward. So as a first step, if you want to come through me, and then over the next couple of months, we're going to shape that, and it would be great to have you involved.
It would. It certainly would. I think phrases like stakeholder mapping are so dull, but actually,
I was going to say, I'm such a project manager. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So, but actually, that's about how we're going.
Who our friends and supporters are. That's what.
Yeah, I think. And if anyone's got any thoughts about that, and just to get in touch with Em or any of the rest of the team, because it's something that we're trying to do, and obviously we're in touch with people like Yak and Jenny and many other representatives of the group, but actually we're also in touch with a number of individuals as well about how they get involved and so on. One of our team is just, I'm quite inspired by what was said by the last question actually, and we've talked before about, should we have something along the lines of a youth board, so that this is, and I think there was a comment just now in the chat which was about being part of it as opposed to having it done on two people, and I think we're very conscious of all of that, so we may take that away and maybe have a follow-up session from this one and see if we got it right, because we won't have all the answers necessarily. So but great question, Diane. We'll find a way of connecting. So Emma Critchley was the lady who was talking, and she'll ping you now on a private message, I'm sure.
Jenny, did you want to say something just before
I just wanted to suggest that I'm sure that many of the people that are on the Northwest Youth for Eden board would jump at the chance of being on a youth board for Eden. So yeah, we can talk about that if you know, I can connect you with the people there.
We'd love to. So definitely. So great.
So that's it for the questions. We haven't. No one else got their hand up. So and we've. Sorry, Dave.
We're even on time, and I managed to avoid the question about the Isle of Wight. You know, that snuck in. I don't know if everyone else saw that on the chat, which is the first time that's come up. But I think just to say, there's one other hand just come up there, Ben. Should we take one more question? Go on.
Let's go, Howard. When you're unmuted, just let us know what your question is, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Very, very interesting and very encouraging hearing all your comments for young people and education. My question really, I did actually send it in as requested from the invite, was about how would you interact and work with the existing cultural things that happen already in Morecambe, like more music, and I run the Promenade Concert Orchestra in Morecambe. We give concerts at the platform and lots of other groups that already exist. It was just how do you see yourselves working with the groups that already exist, I think. That's my question. Thank you.
Closely and actively, I think, Howard, we're very conscious there's a huge number of those groups. And again, I think Emma answered the last question, and it's probably the same answer again, which is, and I think we put an answer up on our website to your question, to the last one, if it's the same one. If we haven't, then you know, tell us and we'll correct that. But I think we want to get into those conversations. There are an inordinate number of local groups and interest groups around particular activities, and I think we're just trying to find our way through all of those, and there's many crossovers as well, aren't there? So we want to make sure that we're very much a part of this community, not as I think Gabby said earlier, sort of just coming in over the top. It will represent failure if it ends up being seen that way. So but we'll pick up separately, Howard, with that exchange as well. So I think, though, that is probably it, Ben.
It is, yeah. I think we're out of time, and we don't have any further hands up. So any questions that have been asked in the chat that we haven't got around to, we will answer those in text, and they'll be published with the video on our website in the next few days. Thank you to Dave and to Yak and Jenny and everyone else who asked a question and spoke. Really a great session. I think I would probably confidently say on behalf of the whole Eden team, one of our favourite sessions. Really great to hear from everyone, and it's great that everyone's so passionate and eloquent. So thank you so much. Sorry, Dave, you wanted to...
I have one final thing, which is next time we see Suzanne Moore, we want to know what she's actually knitting. So, we'll oh, lovely. So we'll expect to see it finished on the next session. So, but thank you, everyone.
Just a reminder, check out edenproject.com/north to see the next sessions and sign up for them. We have one a month. Next one is on Friday, March 19th. It's all about the environment. As I said, this recording will be published in a few days. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Cheers.